All right, folks, welcome back. It is my pleasure to be joined here by the CEO of Uphold, Simon McLaughlin. This is your second time coming on the show, Simon. How are we doing?
Yeah, great, Zach. Really good. Thank you for having me back.
Have you recovered from XRP Las Vegas?
Just about, yeah. I mean, it was a pretty amazing event. The scale of it took me by surprise. The fervor of the participants is fantastic. I mean, if ever there was a vibrant community who believe in a project, the XRP Army is it. But I thought it was a brilliant event.
Yeah, what was your thoughts on the fact that we actually had some people kind of outside of even crypto showing up? You know, my good friend Andy Scheckman with Miles Franklin, he's one of our community resources. Lynette Zhang, too, she's a favorite of everybody. Your thoughts on how Brad Kimes kind of included some outsiders, too, in this kind of merging of, you know, precious metals commodities. We had some other folks there, too, congressmen, representatives, Greg Kidd, obviously John Deaton as well. Your thoughts on how well he rounded off this conference?
I thought he did a great job, and I thought it was a really good idea to have representatives from other asset classes. The big thing for me about the ETFs is it's legitimizing blockchain and crypto technology as an asset class, and it's now sort of sanctified. It exists in the form of a security in the ETFs. I mean, the ETFs are a brilliant marketing vehicle for getting, crypto into mainstream consciousness as a legitimate asset class. And I think even more important than that, as a technology to go away and research up on. People find they're blown away by, single best performing asset class over the last 10 years, but Bitcoin, there's nothing to touch it. I thought he did a great job. That I thought some of the legal commentators at the conference were fantastic. I forget the lady's name, but there was one lady who was bringing us up to speed on, the state of US regulation for crypto. I thought she was fantastic. Overall, I thought Brad did an amazing job, and it really felt, it felt what the industry is, which is we're out of the experimental phase and we're now into the serious adoption phase. And, the number of people building on top of the XRP ledger, I was really encouraged by.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do regret not stopping you and saying hi. I did see you in passing one time, but it was a madhouse in there, almost 700 people at the conference, and the energy was just infectious, and I think that there's so much momentum behind this XRP community, and you can feel it. So, really looking forward. I hope maybe we can get you back again next year too, because it sounds like he's already planning for next year as well, doing it even bigger. So huge shout out to Brad Kimes and his wife and the whole team that put this thing together. This is what the XRP community needed. And, for me, this whole fight that we're in is about getting the truth about XRP out there. It's an overlooked cryptocurrency. It's a hated cryptocurrency. And then broadly speaking, our community is fighting for something bigger than XRP, bigger than crypto. We're fighting for a level playing field, and before we hopped on this interview, Simon, I'm here listening to Gary Gensler this morning on CNBC Bubble Vision. And Gary Gensler is, of course, saying that nearly all of these cryptocurrencies are crypto securities. Of course, he's still standing by that position. Of course, he can't talk about any one case about consensus. Andrew Ross Sorkinson did ask him directly, once again, is ETH a commodity or a security? And he definitely skipped that question. And so, to me, that's what this fight's about. And many people outside the crypto space don't understand that we're fighting for more than just XRP. We've been fighting on behalf of the industry. We had representatives there at the conference speaking on that. And so honing in a little bit on that, your thoughts on, we've had the successful Bitcoin ETF, and I think that was a big part of pushing Bitcoin past its all-time high pre-halving, which is the first time that we've done that. Incredible push from the Bitcoin ETFs. Your thoughts on the success of that, and your thoughts on the potential for the Ethereum ETF?
Well, I think the Bitcoin ETFs are the most successful ETFs of all time. It's extraordinary. I think we've seen net overall inflows of $18 billion. It's extraordinary to think BlackRock has literally thousands of ETF products. And I read the other day that 24% of total ETF volume across BlackRock is now Bitcoin related. So an enormous achievement, an enormous validation that this is transformational technology that's worthy of a place in people's long-term investment portfolios. And despite all of the geopolitical uncertainty and the sell-off in the stock market, if you look at the outflows from those Bitcoin ETFs, it's tiny, it's immaterial. So the point is, it's sticky money. And I think that's going to have the effect of creating a much longer market cycle, i.e., what's currently, I think we're probably about a third of the way into quite a long bull market cycle for crypto right now. And I think there'll be greater stability. On the downside, I don't think it's going to be as wildly exciting as in the past, because I think, the wild swings in volatility where there are mass panic sell-offs, I don't see that happening. So I think it will be a much more stable and protracted period of strength in the market for crypto, which I think is going to be very welcome. And I think that, I think Bitcoin right now is it's the least volatile it's ever been, actually. And again, that's good. That's good for adoption. It's good for people trying to adopt the technology for its core purpose, as opposed to just, jumping on the bus for some casino-like speculation.
Right. Now, in regards to these ETFs, you guys at Uphold continue to launch new products similar to kind of an ETF, right? You've created these baskets, and you got the big three, you got a few other there. How has the rollout of those products been for you guys at Uphold?
It's been great. I mean, baskets are basically just an easy way for people to, buy a bunch of tokens that are related. So we have a finance basket, we have a DeFi basket, we have an enterprise token basket, mobile gaming, and a bunch of other categories. And it's simply a very easy way of buying a bunch of related tokens, diversifying your risk while keeping true to what you believe in terms of the kind of projects you like. The baskets don't rebalance. There's no any funky stuff over time. It's simply you could almost see it as a multi-buy. But we've been really taken aback by the uptake because, again, what people want is convenience. They want an easy way of buying and repeat buying the stuff they like. So that's why we introduced it.
Yeah. I got to say, you almost got me to buy some Bitcoin and Ethereum because I was looking at those basket products and I was looking at the big three. I figured, okay, maybe I can get some exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum because at the same time, I'll be getting exposure to XRP. So I almost did, not yet, but maybe here soon. But I love that. And, bringing that back to the ETF conversation, I think that we're about to see, not just the Ethereum ETF eventually, but these large cap funds. You look at Grayscale, they added XRP back to their large cap fund. And the lawsuit's not over, right? But they've already made that move. And I think that you're going to see them roll funds like that into more ETFs. And so the ETF inflows for Bitcoin has been fantastic, but we still have quite a few other cryptos that are legitimate and do have staying power, despite the fact that nobody mentions XRP on the mainstream news, right? But we definitely do have that staying power. And I think that that's a great product and a great direction. And we have so many more ETFs rolling out. To your point on BlackRock, when I was looking at just how many gold ETFs they have, I think they have at least five or six gold ETFs, right? And that's just one commodity. So we're going to see BlackRock with multiple cryptocurrency ETFs, right? That is definitely coming. And like you said, the outlook for this bull run, right? I'm in the same boat. I think that this thing's just getting started. Is it going to be as volatile? Are we going to do another, 3 to 5x like we did last bull run? Maybe not extend that far, but we still have a ways to go. Even Brad Garlinghouse talking about going up to 5 trillion. And I think that he keeps it pretty conservative, right? So that's good. Now, on other Uphold products, we have the launch of the Vault, which is a huge deal. In regards to adoption, I think that this Vault product that you guys have launched is going to be great for allowing folks to dip their toes into the water of self-custody. So can you speak on that product?
Sure. Well, I think self-custody is such an important concept in crypto. Yeah. The fact that you're the only person who can move your money, you're the only person who can sign for transactions, no one can censor your money, No one can, you're in full control. And it's ironic that the centralized trading venues in crypto have taken that key concept away from users, because on a centralized exchange, as you know, the centralized exchange holds the private key, which means you're not in control. So Uphold has broken ranks with all of the other trading venues. And we've basically said, look, we actually want to give you the ability to set up within the Uphold app, or from within the Uphold app, an assisted self-custody wallet. And in simple terms, what that means is it's a self-custody wallet. You hold 2 keys. We only hold 1 key. So we can't move your money. We can't prevent you moving it. We can't censor you. We can't pause it. We can't freeze it. It's yours. And you don't need Uphold to access or move that money. So even if the Uphold app went down, even if the company went bankrupt, you would be able to move those funds. It is in a censorship-proof self-custody wallet. And the thing that's really cool about it is, number one, if you lose one of your keys, we can't replace it for you, but we can put our 1 key together with your 1 remaining key to generate a new key. So we get rid of that horrible risk of, oh my God, where's my private key? And hiring people to search rubbish dumps and all of that nonsense. There's somebody who can help you if you lose your key. The second thing that's really important about it is the funds remain adjacent to the trading platform. So in one tap, you're back on the trading venue and you can trade anything in the normal way. So it's like think of it as a savings account where you can put money in a super safe place. You can keep the convenience of trading, but you've got an easy and practical form of self-custody. And as I say, you can access it without the Uphold app at all. You can go to some open source software we've set up called Vault Assist, and you can put in your private key. You can move those funds, even if the Uphold app is down. And we think that is such an important differentiator compared with other centralized trading venues, where you're having to put your trust in a centralized third party. These centralized venues are subject to hacking. They're subject to you saw what happened with FTX. If you don't know what's happening with the funds behind the scenes, horrible things can happen. Here's a way in which you take control, and we strip away the complexity of one of the most important native features of blockchain technology, which is the self-custody wallet where you have the keys. All we do is make it easier to get into and easier to use and safer to use. And the uptake, so far we offer it on XRP. We've been blown away by the uptake. People want control of their funds. Yeah. And again, going back to FTX, it's not surprising. People want their funds in a safe place that they can access. And 2 weeks ago, we've added Bitcoin. So you can now store your Bitcoin in the vault as well. And it's a multi-chain wallet. So if you look at our roadmap to the end of the year, we're adding Stellar, we're adding XDC, we'll be adding Ethereum. And you know that on a lot of these different blockchains, you need a different wallet for each one. That's incredibly clunky. Yep. And the way we've set it up means, there's no more rummaging around desperately in a desk drawer trying to find your private key. One operates with our key, allowing seamless movement backwards and forwards to the platform. But you always hold 2. We only hold 1.
Yeah. We've all been there. We've all been there. Now, on a couple other products too, you teased us at XRP Las Vegas about maybe a potential yield product coming for XRP holders. And in regards to the card too, you said the card's coming back. So I just wanted to ask, timeline, what are we thinking for the card coming back and the potential yield? And is that just for XRP, or are we looking at other products as well?
It's other products as well. So I'll do the card first. So the card is going to be back by the end of the year. The debit card, as you recall, allows you to spend any asset that you have on Uphold seamlessly, either through a virtual card that's embedded in the mobile wallet, or through a physical card that you can use at any shop. Fantastic product. It'll be back at the end of the year. What we're also going to be introducing by the end of the year is virtual bank account credentials into every Uphold account. So that will mean you can on and off board funds using bank account credentials. You have a virtual bank account. We'll also allow you to do things like bill pay. We want people to be able to use Uphold as part of their everyday financial life, not just to occasionally buy and sell crypto. And so bill pay, salary pay, and the ability to earn a yield is incredibly important. So coming in the next quarter is a yield product that will allow you to earn 5% interest. This is actually done through a broker-dealer account. It's insured for $2.5 million per account, and the product we'll be offering is something called Bank Sweep. And Bank Sweep basically means if you hold dollars in there, you'll earn 5%, and the yield is generated through liquidity provision to a network of banks. It's a brilliant product. It's very safe and insured, and it'll give people on the Uphold platform an insured receptacle to keep savings in return for a high yield. And it remains instantly adjacent to trading, so you can still use it as a funding source for trading with no settlement delay at all. So that's the first thing that's coming. So that's a USD earn product. Then between the end of Q3 and the beginning of Q4, we plan to offer a yield on XRP and certain other digital assets. We're still working on the exact infrastructure there, so I can't reveal the exact plans. But we feel it's incredibly important for people to be able to earn a yield on stable coins and certain cryptos as well. So that remains a goal for us by the end of the year.
Wow, that sounds exciting. I know that you had the room kind of light up when you mentioned the yield, their product there in Vegas, and so we're all looking forward to that. Now the big question is this going to be coming back for U.S. Investors for the card and for the yield?
It is. Yes, it is. So wow. The yield product is being built at the moment, and it should be going live in Q3. So sometime in the July to September window, but we're busy, hard at work on it at the moment.
Now I'm just thinking this is so ironic. We fought almost 250 years ago to get away from the British. Now here we are, and we're having the British help us out. Actually hold our assets and sell us XRP during the lawsuit. What's happened? What's happened to this country, Simon? Goodness gracious.
Just because I'm a Brit, don't assume that Uphold's a British company. It's not. It's an all-American company, born and bred in California. So,
okay, my apologies. Yeah, but you're the leader. We're being.
That's right. That's right. Some of our leadership team are British. For sure.
Okay. Well, now you did speak on the stable coin that Ripple's doing. We talked about how great that's going to be for liquidity coming into the XRP ledger too. So I wanted to ask if you could just expand a little bit more on that partnership with Ripple. That went live last year, towards the end of last year. How successful has that been? How's it like working with Ripple?
It's been great. I'll talk about the stablecoin first. I think that's a fantastic initiative. I know there was some skepticism in the community when it was announced, but I don't think it's just a good idea. I think it's absolutely essential to Ripple's mission. First of all, it will make selling the core Ripple payments service to banks just way easier. Banks don't employ people who understand crypto. They understand people who understand fiat. And fiat on blockchain rails is a much easier concept to sell to banks in the context of, hey, we can help solve your international payments problems. Secondly, I think it's going to be great for the XRP ledger because I think it'll encourage a ton more people to build on top of the ledger. And I think, for anybody holding XRP, obviously I have no idea what it'll do for price, and we always avoid kind of anything that's approximating to investment advice. But that said, if it encourages the transactionality that we've seen on other networks that have introduced a stablecoin, one has to assume that, holders of XRP are going to do pretty well because XRP remains the gas token. So it's going to be absolutely embedded into the ecosystem and will be, an instrument that should benefit from increased transactionality. So turning to the ODL partnership, we signed it last year. It's only gone live with us in the last 6 weeks or so. We've got one client live, and a second about to go live. And what's fantastic for us is it's so nice to see that, this is a working illustration of crypto utility, solving a big real world problem in finance. We can see through our own network tens of millions of dollars now being moved by this one client, in order to, just move money from one region to another in a much cheaper and more efficient way. And I think, with the introduction of the stablecoin into those flows, I think we're going to see an acceleration into it. I mean, we love the ODL platform and the ODL product because we know how difficult it is for large companies to move money across border. We ourselves recently, we were trying to get money into a bank account in Canada. And I kid you not, at one point we were thinking of flying somebody up there with suitcases of cash because we couldn't get the money into the country. It's just extraordinary. I mean, we're sitting on a regional banking system that dates from the 1950s in a globalized world, and it doesn't work properly. The basic concepts of international money movement are 400 years old. It goes back to the Medicis. I don't think most people understand that when we talk about money moving cross-border, very, very little money moves cross-border. 84% of international payments go through SWIFT. SWIFT doesn't move money. SWIFT is just a messaging service between correspondent banks. And it's just a crazy system. So the ODL thing has always appealed to me intellectually because it's aimed at a very large scale problem in traditional finance and provides a very neat solution.
Right. Yeah. And it's not even just the flows, it's the amount of value that's locked up in these Nostro and Vostro accounts too that gets so often mentioned as well. Now,
$21 trillion sits in Nostro Vostro accounts.
Yep.
And for anybody who doesn't get that, it's just the notion that if you go to the UK and you get a speeding fine, you want to pay it with your US bank, your US bank sends a message via SWIFT to a UK bank with which the US bank has a sub-account, instructing them to move money from the sub-account. In other words, there's a pool of capital locked up there on the off chance that it may be needed for bill payment and other purposes. But it's not international money movement, which is crazy when we know that money is nothing more than a digital information on a ledger. We know we can move digital information seamlessly and instantly anywhere already, thanks to the internet. So it's a ridiculous situation.
Yeah, incredible. Now, one of the other things that kind of lit up the room and got me a little excited, you were mentioning that the ODL is now live in the Europe, UK, and the United States. Now, you've said you've onboarded one client and you got another one on the way. Are these U.S. institutions? I know you probably can't say names, but can you speak a little bit more about ODL basically being live in the U.S. right now? Is that safe to say, Simon?
The current corridors we're operating in are the UK and Europe, and we're about to open up the US as well, which we're very excited about. The kind of companies we're dealing with will surprise people because they're household names. These are well-known multinational companies who are looking for better ways to move money around the world, and it really rams home the magnitude of the problem that these kind of big companies, which are the most blue chip of the blue chip, are looking for better ways to move money because they find it difficult, slow, expensive, and error prone to do it through the traditional method.
Yeah. What has the appetite been from these institutions in regards to XRP and Ripple? Because there's some people, even within our own community, who are trying to raise money for projects, and they use this excuse that when they say they're on the XRP ledger, that VCs and investors aren't interested. And are you seeing that type of sentiment? And what is the appetite for these institutions for XRP and Ripple? I mean, do they go, white? Do they go pale? Do they get sick? Or are they interested in working with Ripple and XRP?
Well, I can't comment, directly because I'm obviously not employed by Ripple. So any comments that I have relate to my perspective at Uphold. I'll start with a legal point. The two cryptocurrencies that are now indisputably not securities under US law are Bitcoin and XRP. I find Gensler's comments this morning just even more baffling, frankly, because, anybody who reads Judge Torres's court decision from last July, and if you haven't read it, I'd encourage anybody to read it because it's very well written. It's simply written. And her point is a digital asset in and of itself is not a security on a decentralized ledger. And it's such an important ruling because not just for XRP, but for cryptocurrencies in general, because the concept there is the Howey test, as most people know, there are 4 legs to it. And the 4th leg is the common enterprise leg, which in simple layman's English means you have to prove that somebody is using somebody else's money on the promise of profit. It's using other people's money on the promise of profit. And obviously in a decentralized network, there is no promise of profit. There is no central authority to whom, who has made a promise to participants. Therefore, the asset itself cannot pass the Howey test, which is the basis for determining whether a digital asset, well, any asset, is a security or not. So I think that court case last year, sanctified XRP. As I said, it's the only cryptocurrency where there's 100% clarity in the US that it's not a security. That's what the US courts have said. And I think, what we're seeing is a huge amount of enthusiasm from big companies wanting to work with Ripple and with XRP. They now have that legal clarity that just wasn't there before. There's no doubt during the period when the court case was going on, I'm sure that must have impeded adoption. I mean, inevitably, it would affect people's sentiment towards it. But since then, I think there's tremendous recognition and an embracing of XRP for money movements.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I think that Brad Garlinghouse is just a class act. At the Digital Chamber dinner there in Vegas, he was asked about Ethereum, and he said, once again, that he does not believe that Ethereum, the token, in and of itself is a security, right? So while the rest of the space kind of kicked us while we were down getting sued by the SEC, we have now, really come out victorious in many regards. We're set to see this case conclude here in the next few months, hopefully, barring any appeal. But just a class act from Brad Garlinghouse to still stand by the industry and even Ethereum. And we're not going to get into that. But, once again, it was just so great to see Brad, David Schwartz showing up in Vegas this year. Great showing from Ripple. And so I'm glad that we were able to clarify that. I won't leave this and put the headline that US ODL is live yet, but it is going to be coming soon. So thank you for that, Simon. And, in regards to the case and specifically ODL,
remember, sorry to jump in, Zach, but one thing I must point out is we're only one node in the Ripple ODL network. So I know it's ODL is operational with other partners all around the world. So all I'm saying is that we're about to open the US. I'm sure they're working with other partners already there.
There might be a few other US institutions that are considering it, right? But we won't go into speculation. Okay. Thank you.
Right.
In regards to the ODL, though, we're at this point in the remedies, and we saw Ripple's response. The SEC filed theirs, the final remedies briefing yesterday. It goes public, I believe, tomorrow on Wednesday. And so we're going to get to finally take a look at the SEC's response. But in regards to this, in the original summary judgment ruling, right, the judge included ODL sales and institutional sales as investment contracts. And that was really the only thing that the SEC won in that summary judgment ruling. Now, the case that Ripple's been making is that the ODL contracts have now been successfully structured in a way that they're not investment contracts. And they specifically cite that when clients are using ODL, they're not exposed to profit or loss, right? They're in and out of this thing using it for that utility, and they don't have any exposure to or any expectation of profit or loss.
They didn't hold it. They don't hold it long enough. Basically, it's an instantaneous transfer. In our case, it's an instantaneous transfer into the client account, and then it's instantly liquidated into fiat. Therefore, there is obviously no no expectation and no indication of profit. That's simply inconceivable because
Right.
they don't hold it.
Now, the trillion-dollar question is the judge going to see it that way? Any prediction on whether or not? I believe that they will. I mean, just the fact that Ripple has continued to sell so much XRP and continue with the ODL and grow ODL while the lawsuit's ongoing tells me that they sat down with the lawyers and figured out a way to structure these contracts. But your prediction as far as how the judge is going to rule on that?
Well, I don't really do predictions, but all I would say is explaining how XRP in the context of ODL flows is not a security that is not difficult, because you can just see in the flow that there is no expectation of profit. It's simply a container for moving value instantaneously from XRP into fiat currency. Therefore, any company using ODL, they're not holding XRP for any period. It's an instantaneous transfer. So therefore, there cannot be, and there is not any expectation of profit. They're just using it to move value across borders.
Yeah. Now, I know you don't want to do predictions, but are you thinking more of a smaller slap on the wrist fine, if any, or do you think the judge is going to drop the hammer on them?
I would be amazed if it were more than a relatively minor fine, basically. I'm trying to remember the exact facts of the case, but I seem to remember the issue that the SEC won was to do with the primary sale of XRP to some institutions, and it was to do with the documentation. I think there may have been a lack of clarity in that documentation. And if it pertains to ODL, and I simply can't remember it, but if it pertains to ODL, that shouldn't be difficult to explain.
Well, one of the incredible cases that the SEC is trying to make, right, is even though despite nobody lost money, right, none of these investors, the institutional or the ODL, lost money. In fact, many of the institutional investors made money, but because basically their argument in simple terms was because you didn't disclose the discounts you were giving to some institutions versus others means that some institutions got a better deal than others. So, the SEC is so concerned that, some institutions didn't get as good of a deal as others did. And that's going to be an interesting, part of this ruling, right, is to see if the judge sides with the SEC as far as that goes. But nonetheless, we are so close to this case concluding, hopefully barring any sort of appeal, right? We can finally see that light at the end of the tunnel. And to me, it just looks very clear from Ripple's posturing, from Brad's, posturing here just in Vegas too. They look very comfortable, right? And then obviously with your partnership, that's just one institution that's going to be going live in the US here soon. And so my speculation, I'll step out and say that I think that there's going to be a few more U.S. institutions ready to rock and roll after this case concludes. And so just your thoughts on how Ripple's business is going to be able to thrive after this lawsuit does come to its conclusion.
Well, I think it was the outcome of the legal case last July that was hugely significant. The SEC lost on the substantive points. They didn't lose on everything, but the really substantive point on is XRP itself a security, they lost. And that's hugely important for the industry. It's hugely important for Ripple's business model. And in terms of getting enterprise clients comfortable with the ODL model, I mean, it's hard to think of anything more important than that court case, because now they have total clarity that under US law, XRP, like Bitcoin, is not a security. And that's been adjudicated upon in court. And I think that legal clarity on that issue is going to be terrifically important for adoption. And I think the introduction of the stablecoin, I mean, my own view is that stablecoins are going to eat the world. I think we're going to see a new era of regulated stablecoins. I think issuers will continue to be in the private sector, but I think they'll be brought under the regulatory and audit arm of regulators. And I think that's going to be a good thing. It'll inject further confidence into the system. But people want to move fiat currency. You want to spend stuff you know isn't going to increase in value. It's always struck me as perverse, the notion that you should be spending a cryptocurrency that may well go up in value because of increased transactionality. That never really made a lot of sense to me. The correct container to move value for payments is a stable coin. And I think the introduction of that stable coin on the XRP blockchain, very quick, very low fees, purpose built for payments. I think that the combination of the stable coin, the judgment on XRP last year not being a security, and this new era of regulated stablecoins, I think it should be terrific for Ripple's business.
Yeah. One final question. Now, in regards to XRP ETF, there's been a lot of speculation, and I've been looking at this thing just thinking, to me, it's very clear we should easily get an XRP ETF approved, because now we have the clarity that in and of itself, it's not a security. If an issuer goes to the SEC and wants to issue an Ethereum ETF, I mean, we just saw confirmation once again this morning that Gary Gensler will not say whether it's a commodity or a security. So as an issuer, you can't disclose what you can say what you think it is, but you compare that to XRP, we know that it's not a security. And so, I guess I'm not going to ask you to say how soon till we get an ETF, but it's just inevitable, isn't it? It's so clear.
Well, I'd have thought that XRP actually has a much cleaner path to becoming an ETF than Ethereum at this point, given the further the further doubt that was thrown on the status of Ethereum this morning. It just underscores the fact that XRP has a much cleaner, more certain path to ETF status. It's been adjudicated upon in the courts as not a security. Therefore, what would be the barrier to it being listed?
Yeah, right.
As in an ETF.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's only inevitable, and it's only more adoption coming into the overall space. And I think that there's just so many people in the cryptocurrency space that don't understand the utilities that are coming to the XRP ledger as well. It's like we have the legal clarity, and now we're finally getting the utilities too. And the utilities are at the protocol level, not a layer 2 smart contract level like Ethereum. I think that that's a great approach to our ledger. It's not going to give a choke point for something for the SEC to grab onto. Like they're suing the Uniswap over their AMM. Meanwhile, our AMM is happening at that protocol level. So it's a very comfortable spot to be in as an XRP holder, an investor, and seeing Ripple's trajectory. This is fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's a very exciting moment for the industry and for the ecosystem, I think.
Yeah. Now, Simon, any final comments from Uphold? Anything else that we should be looking out for? Really appreciate you for coming on again today.
Oh, no worries. No, I mean, main theme is, different from other exchanges because we offer Vault. If you've ever wanted to use self-custody, we're a bit frightened of the risks involved, please check it out. It's in the Uphold app, and it gives you all the benefits of self-custody while keeping close to a centralized trading exchange. We're introducing the card back in December, later in the year, and we're going to be introducing third-party payment capability second half of the year. And the yield stuff, I think people are really going to love. You had to park money on Uphold in an insured vehicle, and you'll be getting 5% back. So not just convenient for proximity to trading, but also if you sell crypto and you want to put it into a very convenient location that's insured and you can earn a decent yield on. Now it's all in the app, one tap away.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Go live in Q2.
Yeah, awesome. I wish you the most success, Simon. You guys are definitely standing out amongst the crowd, and I just love being a user of your platform. I will continue to thank you forever for selling me XRP during this lawsuit and allowing me to stack up some more. God bless all of you guys at Uphold for that. But thank you for joining us once again. We'll look forward to getting you back on the show here soon and updating with some of these future products and rollouts. And thank you for joining us once again.
That's great, Zach. Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it again, and nice to see you last week.
Yeah, thank you guys. Now, everything's at my website, zachrector.com, including a link for Uphold. So head on over, check out their products, and I think you guys will be pretty pleased. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you in the next one. All
Are we
right.
done?